Rebekah Pierce. Yes, I am live here on Substack. I'm so excited to be here with you, y'all. If you're on the East Coast, the North, you know that the weather here is insane. Many of us are still in our houses, and I don't have a problem being in my house. I absolutely do not. Uh, but I'm craving Chinese food, and I can't have none because it ain't safe to go get it, and I don't want anyone to risk their lives trying to bring it to me. But hey, I'm here and let's talk books and baking. Okay, so I know some of you have seen the videos of me baking that I put out, and I've been very intentional about that because, first of all, I love to bake. It's its own kind of stressor, but it's relaxing to me. It's fun. I get to be creative because I'm always thinking about how can this how can I elevate the flavor profile, or how can I make it attractive to the eye, because we eat with the eyes, right? How to make it fun. And as some of you may or may know, if you read my bio, you see I'm not only a writer and a host and a teacher, but I'm also a baker. So my bakery, Maggie's Custom Sweet Treats. If you click on any of the links, the links in my bio, you'll see there's a link to the bakery's Facebook page. And the bakery has been struggling, and a lot of it has to do with me trying to define or narrow down um what kind of bakery we should be, meaning, we started out as delivery only. And that's a very difficult market to tap into when you don't have you know, the funding to create the infrastructure that you need to be successful as a delivery service entity. But so year 6 for us. Next month will be year 6 that I've had the bakery, and I still get private clients. I love when our longtime customers, reach out and place orders. I love to give sweets to people. I love to do that because it's love on a plate, or love in a cupcake. And so what I wanted to do this week was just share some of the recipes that I've been working with, because I also want to show that baking doesn't have to be all complicated. um but I know people think that it is, especially when you're making scones. I know my scones video it scared the mess out of people. Because when you see scones, you think you got to have all this elaborate skill set and elaborate equipment, and you actually don't. You just need patience and to let the thing be what it's going to be. Because, as I said in the video, scones, when you're first, cutting into the dough, when you're first forming the dough, it's scary. It looks like it's not working. The dough might be extra sticky. It might look like it's too dry. And it's just really trusting yourself, trusting the process, and cutting it into whatever shape you want and putting it on the baking tray. Because when the thing bakes, it turns out the way it should. And again, we eat with our eyes. And so the it's gonna always come out fine. I know like I said, I know we eat with our eyes. But baking should also be a fun community experience, right? So when you're in there with the kiddos or your grandkids or just yourself, just enjoy the process and let the thing come out the way it should, or it can. I know the thing about baking is, just like with writing, we want to control the whole process. And sometimes with baking, you gotta let the thing be, just like with writing. Sometimes you gotta let it be. So the scones video, they turned out wonderful. They turned out delicious. And so I hope you'll go back and watch the video. Again, I have my YouTube link also in my bio. You can go to the YouTube link or look again at the note and grab that recipe and just try it. Just work the dough. Just try it. You're just having fun. And baking can be fun. It should be fun. If you don't put a lot of expectations on it, it should be fun, right? I also put out the video for today. I did praline pecans, and I know that's going to get into a debate depending on where you live in the world, if it's pecans or pecans, right? But I was just in Charleston recently for my birthday, some of you know, last month, and they do pronounce it pecans. So I put up a video that I made of praline, southern praline pecans that I made a while ago. And I wanted to reshare that because candy is also baking, and that is fun. That can be fun, especially with the kiddos. But you do with candy, you do need very specific equipment, such as the candy thermometer. You do need that. But it was fun to make those as well. I'm not a true nut fan, but pralines are. I love to put them in our brown butter praline cupcakes. I like to put them on our spice cupcakes because they're real sweet. It's sugar coated pecans, and they when they become sugar coated and settled, they're pralines. So it's really fun to do that. And I hope you watch that video too. Listen, with what's going on with TikTok, I have shut my down the accounts. I'm not fooling around with that. So I'll be doing more posting on my YouTube channel. I hope you'll go over there and watch those videos, share them. Again, I pretty much post the videos that I do of baking. I pretty much post those on, depending on how long they are. I'll post them on Substack. I'll post them on our YouTube, on our Instagram. Good afternoon, beautifully broken. How are you? So I just like to post. I figure, you know what, this year, let's be more, again, let's be more in flow. Because, there are things we can't control. There's a lot of things we can't control. The only thing we can control is ourselves and how we respond or react to what's, happening. And flow is connected to surrender. Now that doesn't mean, I have written about that. I think I'm gonna redo that post today, put that up about the difference between letting go and or rather the similarities between letting go and surrendering. It doesn't mean to give up. What it means is you still are gonna put feet on your face and do what you're supposed to do, but you're gonna trust and believe that God or the divine, whatever you call that energy, that source, is going to bring you where you need to be, where you're needed, right? So I think I'm gonna share that again because a lot of us are in a very difficult time right now. This is, again, baking is a way for me to encourage myself, keep myself focused, have fun, tap into joy. We need to we need something to help us move through this season. If you are watching the news every day, it could literally drive you crazy. It could literally drive you to distraction and anger and just cause all kinds of um, psychological havoc with your body. So we need an outlet. And for me, the one thing that I'm proffering or offering is the outlet of baking. Again, do you have to have, necessarily everything in the pantry to do some of these desserts that I'm posting? No, but get creative and try something different. And this takes your mind off of the externals and sometimes what's going on internally. You need to redirect. So how is baking, and that just like popped up something in my head. So how is baking related to growth mindset development? Because you got to trust the process. And baking is a growth mindset practice, not a fixed mindset. Because even though you have a recipe, and some people say not to deviate from the recipe, okay, well, why not? I'll give you an example. I was making, and I got some cookbooks I want to recommend for you guys today. So I was baking a drunken rum cake. I found this fantastic recipe for a drunken rum cake, and I had tried it out. I followed the recipe. I tried it out. And then I ended up getting an order for it, and I don't know what happened, I got distracted, and instead of 1 stick of butter, I ended up using 2 sticks of butter, and at first I panicked. I was like, "Oh my god, I've messed up this recipe, oh my lord, the customer, I don't think I can give this to the customer." And, my mother, who taught me how to bake, right, she was like, "Okay, 2 sticks of butter in a recipe is not gonna hurt it. In fact, it's gonna make the cake more moist." So I went with it, and it turned out it completely elevated that cake. And the drunken rum cake is one of my bestseller cakes now because it is a phenomenal cake, and it's the butter that did it. So it was from a mistake that I've stumbled upon another way to elevate a dessert. So baking is an opportunity to not only um, follow a creative process, but also to add to it or to remove from it. So the book I want to recommend that I got that cake out of, the cake recipes for the drunken rum cake, is called the Red Track Bakery Cookbook. This gentleman came to Richmond a couple years ago for the Library of Virginia's annual literary award. They were getting an award. This is by Brian Noyes. I think that's how you say his last name. Brian Noyes. Anyway, this baking book is fabulous. If you want to try, and this is the drunken rum cake that he made, and this is the recipe. And as you can see, I added my own notes. I tweaked it. I tweaked it for my taste because I just wanted to see. And again, you never know what you can do until you challenge yourself, right? But it's a fabulous recipe. I've also made in their recipe the Virginia ham quiche, right? And there's a couple of other desserts in here that I have played around with and improvised on my own. The one thing I haven't tried yet, y'all, is breads. I got to get to that. But I've also done, this is another favorite cake, the bourbon sarsaparilla. Yeah, bourbon sarsaparilla cake. This is a beautiful cake too. Uh, why not? So, again, you want to books and baking. That's what we're talking about today. Books and baking. Here's a really good book for you. Another fun one that I did, and this one's a bit more challenging, but this is over 100 years old. This is a copy of a book over 100 years old. This is Mrs. Fisher's Old Southern Cooking. And if you don't know the story about Mrs. Abby Fisher, she's given the credit of being the second Black woman to publish. Abby was a former slave who got her freedom, and she and her husband moved out west California after she got her freedom in the late 1860s. And she was so well known for her food that a group of white women in the community got together and asked if they could publish Abby's recipes for her because Abby could not read nor write. She was illiterate. And Mrs. Fisher said yes, apparently. And they put together the collections of her recipes. And the one recipe I used of hers that I still use is this sweet potato pie. Now, y'all, the sweet potato pie recipe. This is from the late 1800s. And what's really cool about this book is that it actually was lost to history for 70 plus years because when they published this I think it was originally published in what did I say? 1881, San Francisco had its first large earthquake. Yes, she lived in San Francisco, California. And an earthquake came through San Francisco and destroyed the city. And the book was lost. So we thought. And then somebody managed to find it. Somehow it resurfaced in like the 1970s. And it was given to oh my gosh, I can't remember the library. But they decided to republish it. And these are her original recipes. Now, this language in this book is from that period. So when she talks about, for example, using uh, one half, when she says, when she uses certain terms like 1 gill of water or um, using, for another example that I saw in here was a pint of something or whatever. You gotta transpose the language. You do need to get the updated language. All that means is just putting it in Google and saying, what's the modern day equivalent of this? But in her sweet potato pie, Mrs. Fisher put orange zest. Now, of course, we got modern stoves. They ain't have no stoves back then. So you really also got to play with the temperature of your stove. And when we've made this, I say bake it at 350. Depending on your oven, between 350 and 425. 'Cause in her book, she just says, "Bake quickly." Now, we not over a wood stove. Um, so you gotta play with that, and then, but this is so fun to try. I mean, she's got all kinds of jam recipes, food, of course. She's got cake, pickled onions, and she's got a recipe in here for ginger cookies, raised cake. Oh, cakes you don't even see around often. But this is another good one. You can order this online or reprint. And again, it's the second oldest cookbook published by a Black woman in the United States. Melinda Russell is given credit as being the first Black woman to publish a cookbook in the United States. This is my notes. All right. If you're just tuning in, it's me, Rebecca. I'm happy to be here with you today. We're talking books and baking. And I'm just sharing a couple of my favorite cookbooks that I'm using um, to, again, I am choosing to respond, not react to the things that are happening in the world externally, trying to keep myself focused internally because it's so easy to get lost and caught up with the heartache and despair that's happening. And this is not to avoid it, but rather to consciously and intentionally choose when you want to enter into that conversation of what's happening in places like Minnesota and Chicago with this current administration. And then also, being in the house because of the weather, choosing to figure out a way to be creative while at home, right? So when I first started when I first went public with my baking, or prior to that, when my children were little, I found this baking book. This is 100 Best Cupcake Recipes. And I can't remember where I found it. I found it in a bookstore, an old bookstore. And I started making cupcakes for my son and my daughter when they were when my son was little, because he's 8 years older than my daughter. Um, but I wanted to, because I mean, I love to bake, and it's something that inspires me, makes me it makes me tense, but tense in a good way, and it's fun. And so I've made cupcake sliders. I've made this recipe before. This was really fun. I also have made these chocolate hazelnut cupcakes. These were delicious. Yeah. And I've also made a couple of other recipes. I made my son one time uh just ice cream sundae cupcake for his birthday. I've made black bottom cupcakes. This is just a really fun and engaging little cookbook. You might still be able to find this online somewhere. So I recommend this if you want to if you got little ones and you want to do cupcakes and you're in the house. This book keeps it real simple. Not a lot of ingredients. You don't need a ton of ingredients. In fact, look at what you have in your pantry and then go looking through the book and see what you can make from that. Yeah. Any questions? Oh my God, guys, please ask me questions or give me comments, feedback. I'd love to hear from you. My other book, baking book, you want to try something? This one's good, y'all. Southern Cakes. I got this when we were in Savannah a couple years ago. And man, I love me a good cake. Lord Jesus. And this book offers so many old school Southern cakes. The one that I've done that I like, I actually have my own recipe, but why not? I added to it based on what I saw in here. And that's the pineapple coconut cake. This is a good recipe. It's a good recipe. And like I said, I have my own cake recipe for that, but I still go back and forth. And this one too, lemon filled coconut cake. Ooh, y'all. Yes, I mean, you like the sweet potato pie? Baby, that sweet potato pie, her recipe, Miss Fisher's recipe, I just added it to my grandmama's recipe. Mm, mm, mm. I just combined the two, and out of that, I have one of the best sweet potato pies, I think, on the planet. Oh, yes, the chocolate chips. Yes, those are the chocolate chip cookies. Yes, let me tell you about those cookies. That also that also came from trial and error, from looking at other people's recipes, trying different things, merging it with what I know. Yes, that's a good chocolate chip. I think we have the best chocolate chip cookies. And then finally not finally, because I got like 4 or 5 other cookbooks over there, but these are like my baking ones. This is my recent purchase from Charleston, South Carolina. And look at here, look at they got pear ginger scone recipe in here. Now I haven't made this yet, but based on my orange cranberry scones that I made the other day that I shared with you, again, just adding recipes. I made this recently for a customer. I added their lemon bar uh recipe. I added it to my own lemon bars recipe. They used a shortbread cookie crust. um I decided to stick with my regular graham cracker. Not graham cracker, no, I use Biscoff. But I used their filling recipe this time instead of using my own. But what I found was I actually added my own from my recipe to their lemon bar recipe. And she's got a ton of beautiful um desserts in here. My God. I mean, again, there she's got what I like about this cookbook and why I bought it is because she also breaks down for you the equipment that you need, what the difference between quality of butter, quality of cocoa, milk versus skim milk, all those different things. Sorry about that. Hold on just a minute. You know you're in my shot. That's my brother. He all right. He's the cook. I'm the baker in the family. So if you want some food, you go to him. You want dessert, you come to me. But yes, so she shows you like how to grate your butter when you're doing scones, which I showed you in the video that I did of my orange cranberry scones. She's got some great tips in here. This bakery's been around a very long time out of New York. Um, she's got a great recipe in here for apple cinnamon scones. I have my own recipes I love. Blueberry lemon scones, baby. I got the bomb lemon blueberry scones. So, oh yes, oh yeah, she's phenomenal, right? This is a really good book. And then you said beautifully broken. You said I most recently purchased applesauce and ADHD. She's on on Facebook. Yes, I follow her. I follow Magnolias, and I get their emails as well. I'm on their newsletter list. But this is just a great book to try. Again, don't be. I want to encourage you not to be. It's intimidating, but just try it. And again, this helps you to put your energy, your focus into other things while God or the divine or Yahweh works out the petition that you gave it this morning or this afternoon, right? Move in another direction while the spirit works on those things, right? Move in another direction. Stop focusing on what you can't control. Mm, that's a word right there, right? Here's my next one that I got several years ago. It's called what is this? Black Girl Baking. Now she offers a lot of gluten-free options and vegan options in here. So if you have a gluten-free or vegan diet, this is a really good cookbook too, a baking book. This is a really good one. And I actually have tried a couple of different recipes in here for some of my clients who are gluten-free and or vegan. She even has vegan rice crispy treat, sweet potato rice crispy treat recipe. But man, look at that, y'all. She got that in here. And let me show you the picture of her vegan sweet potato rice crispy treat. Y'all see that? My God on today, as one of my favorite TikTokers used to say. Diamond used to say that. My God on today. She still says it. Um, she also has biscuits in here, banana pudding parfaits. I mean, just y'all, just fun stuff. Maple cinnamon granola. If you want to make granola, just real fun stuff. Why not try it? Why not? I even have a small little PDF cookbook baking book on Amazon called Sweets and Bakes. I think I have that link. I either have it on my website or I need to put it uh, in the chat. Right? Let me see. Let me see if I can put that in there for you on Amazon. Um, oh my goodness. Hold on, y'all. I think I could do that. Let me go to Amazon real fast. I can get my fingers to work in here. Yeah, so a couple years ago, I decided to put out a um a, um a quick little cookbook with our top recipes. and Beautifully Broken, the chocolate chip cookie is one of those recipes. Okay, thank you. Is one of those recipes that I believe is in here. So let me go ahead and let's see if we can put that up in here in the chat. I have 8 or 9 recipes that we did in collaboration or that was highlighted a couple years ago um, in Rashawn McDonald's his Rushon's Baker Spotlight on Instagram a couple years ago. Hey Natisha, how are you, sis? We're talking look, Letitia, one of my customers, she know we talking about baking at the moment, girl. I gave some really good baking cookbooks you could try out. And so anyway, so you can grab it's real quick recipes, 8 of them. Our chocolate chip cookies is one of those recipes. You can go in there and just pull it out and try it. So again, yes, Tisha, in this cookbook, Black Girl Baking, she has a recipe for sweet potato rice krispies, right? And this was the so if you're vegan or gluten free, she offers these options in her cookbook. This is a gluten free, egg free, vegan option for making sweet potato rice krispies. Y'all don't let bacon intimidate you. I mean, again, look at the recipe, see what you have, see what you can tweak. Google is can be a good thing because all you gotta do is get on there and say, "Well, I don't have such and such. What's a substitute for such and such?" So, like for example, if you have to make um, buttermilk, it's vinegar and lemon juice, I believe it is. Ugh, don't quote me on that. I have to pull it up. But there's ways to make alternative versions of what you need, right? So have fun with the baking, right? Enjoy it. But again, I really encourage you to also get Mrs. Fisher's Southern cooking if you want to try that sweet potato pie I was talking about with the orange zest. Change your life, ma'am. If you like doing jams and marmalades, go ahead. And again, if you're looking for old school cakes that we ain't heard in a long time, if you haven't had that your grandma maybe used to make, like old time ginger cake, she's got a good, again, there's good recipes in here. You just got to update the language. And again, you find some of those in this cookbook, Southern Cakes. This is a really good cookbook. And my favorite, this is an awesome cookbook, baking book, but cookbook, right? So, and don't forget Magnolias. That's a really good cookbook as well. Any questions or thoughts? What are you guys thinking about that so far? I know I was thinking a couple of years ago that I should do, but this is why I do the videos. Why I decided I'm going to just do these videos once a week. I'm going to post between 1 and 2 times a week. I'll post a let's make such and such video, right? Yes, and Tisha, you need a special box order for this. Whatever you recommend, I'll be the taste tester, right? Um, but this is again. Can you email? Yeah, I can actually. I could if you guys send me a message in the DMs with your email. I can send you my cookbook baking book recommendations to you. And again, just try it. But again, this is why I'm putting out the videos. Matter of fact, I think I have a video of me making Mrs. Fisher's sweet potato pie. I'm gonna find that and then I'm gonna post it up. Again, y'all, these um please share my videos, the baking videos, so we can have some fun, this year. Again, we're just flowing and we're in being intentional and surrendering and letting go as we put some feet on our faith, as we tell in our meditations and prayers, tell the divine what it is we need. And as we're waiting for the response, we are putting some feet on our faith, but we are also choosing to be intentional about how we respond and react versus react to what is going on both externally and internally. I'm not telling you to avoid your internal um, conversations, but sometimes those conversations are not good. They're not positive. And so I'm offering, my baking videos and baking in general as a beautiful, intentional response to the world, right? Response. Um, Now, again, if you have any thoughts or questions on that, hit me up. Again, I'm gonna see if I can find that video for Mrs. Fisher's because I did it as a live one time on Instagram before I got hacked and lost all of our followers. But again, you can follow on Instagram. Let me put this in the chat. If you want to help support the bakery and getting, just support just to see what other stuff we have up there. Um, I think I did that wrong. I did do that. That link is wrong. It should be Instagram.com Maggie's Cupcake Cafe Bakery. That's the correct link. I don't know if I can delete that. So it's Maggie's Cupcake Cafe Bakery. And then again, if you go to the links in my bio, open that up. There's 9 links there. You can go to our YouTube and you can see some of the videos on YouTube as well. Now, how's that for the first 30 minutes? We've been talking about baking. How fun. Let's not make baking something that is so intimidating that you don't want to be so focused on the thing being perfect, but rather enjoying the thing that's being created. Especially with little ones, if you have young kids or even older kids, grandchildren, whatnot, if you want to teach them about a growth mindset, having a growth mindset, get in the kitchen and bake with them. Y'all just figure stuff out. It's just amazing. I think that was one of the greatest gifts my mother gave me as a young girl is going into the kitchen with her and just seeing what's possible, learning how to see what's possible if I just try and if I think outside of the box and if I ask questions and then to use my sense of smell and taste to see how a thing makes me feel. Again, we don't want to eat, live to eat. We want to eat to live. But desserts, I don't believe should be removed from living. It's rather that we need to control how we respond to desserts. People say, "Oh, I can't order that because I'm trying to lose weight." Sweet A sweet treat has nothing to do with you losing weight. Your mindset about why you're losing weight has everything to do with what that sweet treat will do for you. I'm sorry, I said it. It's about controlling what you put in your mouth and understanding why you're putting in your mouth, why you're putting this in your mouth at this moment. What is going on with you that you have decided you're going to eat this whole pint of ice cream? Ooh, do I need to go now into some of these books that I recommended for women all these years, like Women Who Run with Wolves and Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth. If you are aware and and open-minded about why you're eating what you're eating, then this quest to lose weight or to eat well, eat better, it becomes more centered on wellness and well-being, not I have to lose 20 pounds because I want to look good in this dress. Oh, right? Yes, Natisha's daughter loves our oatmeal raisin cookies. See, y'all be sleeping. People be sleeping on oatmeal raisin cookies. That is one of the first cookies, the first 3 cookies that I ever learned how to bake from scratch. Peanut butter, and that's when peanut butter was real, if y'all know what I mean. Real peanut butter aficionados know, right? Peanut butter cookies, butter cookies. And I learned how to bake butter cookies because after our father left the home, you know, access to food, it kind of, went down because my mother was a struggling single mom of 4 children. But sometimes the only, when we were able to get assistance, what we had was butter, plenty of butter. And so my mama taught me how to make butter cookies. So it was peanut butter cookies, and oatmeal raisin cookies. And the secret to a phenomenal oatmeal raisin cookie, y'all don't tell nobody, shortening, aka Crisco. Butter flattens the cookie, Crisco plumps the cookie, right, Natisha? That's why she loves those oatmeal raisin cookies because 'cause they're thick and they're chewy and you can taste the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the raisin. It's a totally different cookie. So, yes, it is all about a mindset. And so speaking of mindset then, so if maybe maybe you're still a little hesitant or on the fence about baking. If you do want to, read something that really can kinda give you shed light on why we're in the state that we're in this country, then I'm gonna now lean into my my professional background. I'm gonna lean into literature, and I'd love to refer a couple pieces to you. Now, first though, mindset, speaking of mindset, one of my favorite books about mindset, The Little Book of Big Lies by, Tina Lifford. I can't say enough about the phenomenal work that's in this book. This is the book that really helped me begin to shape the conversations that I was having internally that was manifesting externally. And it wasn't a good conversation. Um, so I love this book because it really gave me the lens through which to see myself. And I'm like going to read a section for you that, again, as I've been teaching my students, y'all better annotate when something pops out. Annotate, highlight, underlines. This is how helps you prepare, helps you study, helps you go back and reflect. And this comes from her chapter 7. When was the last time you said, I'm upset because? And this is connected again to why you're eating what you're eating, paying attention to that. I can connect this to Women, Food, and God by Janine Roth and also Women Who Run with the Wolves, as well as Dr. Renita Weems' um, book on, oh Lord, I got to get the name of her book out. But it's chapter 6 and Juanita Weems, who's a womanist in her work. But here's the passage that I want to read to you from Tina Liff, Tina Lifford's big book of the little book of big lies. And she's on Instagram. Please follow her. She's got some great programming. I love her. And yes, she is an actress as well. A longtime actress. She was in Queen Sugar? Queen Sugar. All right, here's the passage from this chapter 7. Acknowledging and appropriately addressing what's going on inside of us leads to the realization that we are more than any event, hurtful experience, or pain we encounter. No upset in our lives is bigger than we are. None, no matter how old or challenging it may feel. Daring to take action and make choices as though this concept is true empowers us with the inner strength to risk looking at scary, painful memories. And the note that I put next to it for me is God never gives us more than we can bear. And that's because, again, quoting Tina Lifford, no upset in our lives is bigger than we are. Wrap your brain around that. That is powerful. And this is, again, an example of growth mindset work. Why, if you want to change, okay, circumstances you sometimes have no control over. Sometimes we cannot change circumstances. But if you understand again that circumstances don't define who you are, again, no upset in our lives is bigger than we are. I heard someone say that it becomes trauma when we allow that trauma to become the narrative of our lives. Mm. That's some powerful stuff. Trauma becomes trauma when we allow it to become the narrative of our lives. That, again, those are the tape recordings that we begin to play over and over that tell us we're this or that, can't do this or that. So somewhere along the line, someone told you that you can't bake. Somewhere along the line, someone told you that you can't cook. Someone told you that you can't do this, you can't do that. Somewhere along the line, somebody put their hands on you, or somebody did something to you, and it became your trauma because it became your narrative. Because we were not taught how to reframe the way we think about circumstances. So when she says acknowledging and appropriately addressing what's going on inside of us leads to the realization that we are more than any event, hurtful experience, or pain we encounter. That is again acknowledging that we do have control over whether or not we respond, how we respond, and how we react to the circumstance. I'm telling you, this woman right here, boy, she's fantastic, right? And then so it was through work like hers that you know, that brought me to writing my own book, that brought me to writing Before the Lesson Begins. Oh, no problem, beautifully broken. Work is work, girl. Do what you got to do. This will be on repeat, right? This is why I decided to, you know, begin work on this book on working with myself on mindset development, growth mindset development, so that I could be prepared to come into the classroom and present myself in that way. And then plant that seed into these young people, into my students. And they're not all young. Some of them are my age and older than me. But to begin to plant this opportunity to begin to reframe what Lifford talks about, acknowledging and appropriately addressing what's going on inside of us. That no matter, again, no upset is in our lives is bigger than we are. So Before the Lesson Begins is kind of like my academic career response, but this is for more than just teachers. You don't have to be a teacher to get what I'm saying in here, what I'm teaching in here, what I'm planting in here. Because this Before the Lesson Begins is for anybody who is ready to step into growth mindset, who's ready to change the narrative of the trauma of their lives. It's for anybody, really. And so, again, I put up a post that the book isn't moving like we thought it isn't moving as well as we thought it would. But again, I'm put it here because I'm putting it out in a couple of, when I get off here, it's going to be a note that I didn't write this book. I did not write Before the Lesson Begins for the moment. I wrote it for the ages. My agent sent me a message. She was apologizing for the book not moving the way they want it to so far. And I just responded back, I am well aware that my book is not a moment book, but a lifetime book. I'm aware of that. The human in me, the flesh wants it out there, but spirit in me knows that this is a book that people will come back to for years because it's a paradigm shift. It's a mindset shift, and that can alter the educational system, but more than that, all affect and impact lives directly of the educators who are going into this field, right? So, I have a book signing on the 21st. Natisha, I'm so excited that you're becoming. I hope some of you who are in here, I hope you can still come. I mean, yes, the space is real. We have a small space for this. It's limited seating. We've already pretty much booked the seating. But if you want me to come to your city, your neighborhood, I'll be more than happy to come and do a book signing, a book talk, where you're at. But listen, let's have that conversation. Bring me to your town. This is about humanity, right? And of course, that goes back to repeat after me, sis. You can use this in response to help you begin that internal dialogue that Tina Lifford talks about. So you grab Tina's book, you implement the practices from my book, and you implement them here in repeat after me, sis. Dang, that just hit me. Just for real. You get Tina's book, begin that work in there, use Before the Lesson to implement the daily practice, and you implement that through your own journey with repeat after me. Say, my God. Again, Dominique, as Dominique says, my God on today. Right? Natisha, repeat after me is powerful. 75 days. Let me get you started in 75 days, right? Now, that's all the internal work. Now, what do we do? How can we see what's happening externally by not necessarily watching the news every day, being aware of what's happening in the world, but not being caught up in it, stuck in it? Let's analyze it. Let's take a look at it. One of the first books I proffer up is Stick by Tracy McMillan Cottom. She is on Substack. Follow her. She's on Blue Sky. She's on Instagram. She's out there. She gives lectures and lives often, and she is powerful. And this book of essays, I teach this in my African American literature and women's lit and American lit courses when I get to teach them. Uh, um, but this she has an essay in here called Black Girlhood Interrupted. And when I tell you this thing is powerful. In Black Girlhood Interrupted. I want to read two sections. I want to read two comments from this book for you in Black Girlhood Interrupted. Um, this is mm, let me just read this section. She says, and again, I've annotated because that's what I do. This is how you learn how to understand a text. And as I tell my students, this is study notes right here. This is how you do that. She says, the thing I remember most about reading for Black girlhood was that the easiest way to locate the girl in a story about a woman was to search for the sexual trauma. It was always there. A dirty uncle, a mother's new husband, a dotty brother, a mean boy at school, a nasty white man, any nasty man. Being raped, molested, or touched seemed to be the one thing, other than Jim Crow and beauty salons and spirituals, that hung Black womanhood together. The Black girl's introduction to womanhood is through sexual trauma. That is powerful. And it's fascinating because she says, again, the thing I remember most about reading for Black girlhood was that the easiest way to locate the girl in a story about a woman was to search for the sexual trauma. I think of I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. I think of the next book I'll proffer up. I think of Betsy in Richard Wright's Native Son. I think of Wench by I always get her name mixed up, Dolenz Valdez Perkins. I think of many pieces of women's literature. Incident in the Life of a Slave Girl. Um, what's the one that Monique won the Academy for? What's that book? Precious. Woo, child. J- Why is it that Black women's stories are centered around sexual trauma? It's because, again, as she talks about in this Black Girlhood Interrupted chapter essay, she says, I learned that being a woman is about what men are allowed to do to you. That Black girls are, as she says, can never truly be victims of sexual predators because it's always posited in the court system and in society that Black girls, because they develop soon, it's their fault because they provoked men. And so when we're looking at why, for example, then Trump, for example, the first thing they did was to fire all these federal workers who were primarily Black. And we look at the numbers of unemployed Black women. It's because Black women were getting too big for their britches. You're only good for one thing as a Black woman, and that's your body. Nobody wants your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your voice. They just want your body. We can look at Venus Houghton in history, Sarah Breedlove for that. And Cotton further says in this piece, there's an experience she's talking about that happened when she was a young woman, and she ends the section by saying, I took it to mean what my cousin once meant. Black girlhood ends whenever a man says it ends. Black girlhood ends whenever a man says it ends. Two sides to every story, almost ready, she a hoe. The devaluing and the dismissing of the voice and lived experiences of Black women. We see that playing out every day in this country with the 300 plus thousand Black women out of work, with the judicial system shutting down voices and opportunity. I've been a victim of that a couple times. And again, we see this in literature, nonfiction and fiction, played out all the time. Another chapter she has in here that is profound um, is Know Your Whites. Mm, mm, mm. She makes this. Here's a section that I want to give you. Um, when we look at perhaps why this man is so obsessed with Barack Obama, as well as Blackness in general. She says in her chapter, again, it's called Know Your Whites. And this alludes again back to, you can connect this to W.E.B. Du Bois' double consciousness. And even further back in early African American literature, such as Frederick Douglass and whatnot, when he's talking about how, and even Ralph Ellison in the 1940s, as well as Richard Wright, when they talk about how, I'll put some light here, a little bit of light. How it's the house Negroes. They know whites better than whites know themselves. They know how they're going to respond before they respond. They know how they're going to react before they react. They know this because they watch them, and they know them better than they know themselves. And it's a powerful indictment of the relationship, the intertwining, intertangled relationship between master and slave, between the power and the powerlessness. Who really is the powerless? Who's really powerless, right? So here's a quote that she gives. How could the same nation that elected Barack Obama immediately elect Donald Trump? The answer was not in Obama's blackness. Blackness is not a paradox. Blackness is. It has to be for whiteness at any point in time or space to enact its ultimate expression, elasticity. And further down she goes, like whiteness itself, Obama was because Trump is. White voters allowed Barack Obama to become an idea and a president because he was a fundamental projection of the paradox that defines them as white. I almost forgot once. Old trees and new whites are a seduction. But my soul remembers my grandmother's memories. It is imperative that one knows one's whites. Woo! Baby, this is a read right here. This is a read. This is a read. Thick. And I'm going to give you 3 more, and then I'm going to let you go because I've been on here an hour and I don't want to stay on, keep you all day. Finally, Richard Wright. I'm going to give these two together. I teach these in my literature courses. Again, A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest J. Gaines. Native Son by Richard Wright. This is the beginning of modern literature in America. This is the beginning of understanding the creation that is race. An essay that I give my students to read, in fact, they're reading it next week in class, by Gregory J. is called Who Invented White People? And it's a powerful historical analysis of the creation of the concept of white as a race. It's a powerful read. When you put it with the emergence of Native Son by Richard Wright, and the way in which Richard Wright introduced how to talk about race as a creation, as a psychological illness, how it creates monsters on both sides. You you will understand what is happening and why. This right here is your introduction to race in America. You want to understand the psychology of it. You pair this Native Son with A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest J. Gaines. Phenomenal look at race, and then attaching it to this concept of white Jesus. Who is to be crucified and why? Who is the lamb that we sacrifice for race, for this psychological construction designed to divide and conquer. This right here. And if you pair these, all three together, if I put that essay by Gregory J with them, and then I put in a couple other little pieces that I have, you have a phenomenal picture. You have a very clear picture now of what is happening in America and why. And then for me, what I do is when I merge with that, beginning to tap into sense of self and understanding the power of your thoughts and how you look at the world through the lens of your thinking, you begin to realize, oh my God, I'm more powerful than I thought. I don't have to believe these lies. That trauma that I have, it's not bigger than me. All it takes is one person to speak up, one person to make a change, and that one person affects thousands. This is why we got people out here marching, because one person said, I'm bigger than all this, and I'm going to get out here and I'm going to use my voice. That's the power of that. Now, you want to go back a little further? Hello, Richard. How are you? Oh, Richard, you done missed a good conversation, but welcome in. But you want to go back even further and really take a look at, I'm about to blow y'all's minds with this one about how perceived power through class, race, and gender, how that's played out in literature and how we can see these conversations being had indirectly and directly through literature. I proffer up to you The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, who, by the way, was a colored man. Oh, you do your research. Go do your research. But The Count of Monte Cristo, it's one of my favorite literary pieces. Yes, y'all, this is a long book, but it's so worth it because you're looking at what Dumas does with class. Well, today we call it class. Back then, it was, the hierarchy of power. But where jealousy and envy come into play with power, perceived power based on birth, class, gender, heritage. It is the conversation that's being had in The Count of Monte Cristo about all of it is this is 1844. And if we look at what's happening historically in Europe in 1844 and the United States in 1844, you can see what Dumas is doing with this idea of Victorian culture, Renaissance, the emergence of that, the furthering of that, Enlightenment, what all that means, and being of the Moorish background. It's a profound look into the dynamics of imperialism and the rise of all of that. It's just profound. So, if you've been with me this entire time, I think I've given you some heavy lifting to do, some heavy homework, right? We began with the cookbooks that I offered up to you. Again, I encourage you to begin with Mrs. Abby Fisher's Old Southern Cooking. Again, because baking is a way to settle your spirit. It's creative. It's tapping into creativity. It's tapping into the creative mindset, into the growth mindset, because you challenge yourself to try something different and to be creative and to understand that what's happening externally, there's a lot of it you don't have control over. The thing you do have control over is what you do with this moment. And it's a chance to reconnect with family, with yourself, with your palate. And again, understanding why you eat what you eat. You can have a sweet treat. It has nothing to do with you losing weight. If you are clear again on why you do what you're doing. And again, that brings me, I offer up Tina Lifford's The Little Book of Big Lies to look at what we tell ourselves and why, what it's connected to. A powerful read that, again, I said, connected with before the lesson begins. This is what helped me. The Little Book of Big Lies is what began to help me shape that growth mindset that I was developing and how I was able to begin to heal, move towards healing for myself, and then bring that into the classroom and connect it to literature. Because here's my final thought. What does growth mindset have to do with literature? Everything. Because this character in particular, what happened to him, he could have easily let be the end of him. Now, the fact that he chose revenge and he chose it in a very powerful way. I don't recommend revenge per se, but the idea of this character saying, no one has the right to destroy me except for me. They did not make me, so they cannot break me. And that's the thing about mindset. When we look again at Black Girlhood Interrupted, the essay in here, or Know Your Whites in here, it's about understanding consciously that the world doesn't get to define you, you do. And it's based on how you think about yourself. It's based on looking at your pattern of thinking and your behavior and what it's connected to. Again, it becomes trauma when we allow it to become our narrative. And that is reflected in these two pieces, Native Son and A Lesson Before Dying. How the world can attach to us if we let it, value and worth, or worthlessness and valuelessness, right? Okay. That's your lesson for today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this on a replay, oh my gosh, thank you so much for watching it, for sharing it. Put this out there. I thank you so much. And if you want a list of all these books, DM me and I'll screenshot you a picture of the book so you can just go get them, right? And again, if you got my book, whether you bought it from me or bought it online, please leave a review for both of these books. Please leave reviews. They help, bring eyes to the work. And again, you don't have to be a teacher necessarily to benefit from the lessons that are in before the lesson begins. Sis, I love you. Gentlemen, bro, I love you too. You guys have a fantastic day. And God is good, right? All the time. No matter what, God is good. All right. Love you. Bye.